This needs to change for success. The Boston Celtics, as we mentioned in yesterday's video, fell short to the Golden State Warriors, and it's because of a late collapse in the fourth quarter in overtime, with their shot selection not being the greatest and not bringing that intensity that they had brought in the first and third quarter. We'll be breaking down, looking at the Celtics shot chart and looking at how the Celtics played in performance with that and how they could do better for gearing up for tonight's game in the back-to-back versus the Sacramento Kings. We'll also be addressing Jayson Tatum's injury, looking at a quote from Jayson Tatum and going over what's going to be happening with tonight and Jayson Tatum. All that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we get into any Boston Celtics content, I like to say roughly around 79% of our viewers are not subscribed, and would greatly appreciate if you guys hit that big old red subscribe button and join the Celtics Digest family. We can't thank everyone enough that's already hit that subscribe button. If you want to make sure you stay up to date on everything Boston Celtics, news, trades, rumors, live streams, make sure to hit that subscribe button, join the family, and get us to our goal of 3,000 subscribers. We'd greatly appreciate it, and we know you guys would benefit from the daily Celtics content. But let's dive into the video at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack, as it is going to be a jam-packed episode as we dive in. And the first thing we'll be looking at is Jayson Tatum addressing the ankle injury. Yes, Jayson Tatum rolled his ankle early on in the first quarter of the game last night versus the Golden State Warriors, was seen to be limping and left and went into the tunnel. He came back out for the start of the second quarter, but was not that aggressive, and Jayson Tatum had this to say. We have a quote here from Jared Weiss saying that Jayson Tatum said not to make any excuses, but when you sprain your ankle, it swells up. Just stiff. It just makes it a little tougher to move. I still was out there, so I feel like if you go out there and play, you can't make any excuses, but I understand what Jayson Tatum is saying here. He's not going to attack the rim on a bum or hurt ankle, especially in a game where the Celtics are not really prioritizing him. Jaylen Brown dominated the first quarter and had 12 points. They were playing similar to a fast-paced style that similarly represented Jaylen Brown's play style of attacking the rim. So why would a guy like Jayson Tatum want to re-aggravate his injury and try to injure himself even more when the Celtics desperately need him on this 4-game road trip in California? Unfortunately for the Boston Celtics, because Jayson Tatum suffered this injury and they are playing in a back-to-back again tonight versus the Sacramento Kings, he will be sitting out. Guys like Al Horford is also out on rest, and Luke Kornet is also out. But a guy like Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis are going to have to step up tremendously for the Boston Celtics offensively if they want to get the job done. Even a guy like Jrue Holiday, who hasn't had the best offensive games this season, is going to be needed on the offensive side of the floor for the Boston Celtics tonight, as he is going to have a big impact on the scoring, as Derrick White also had a big game last game and might not have that well of a game tonight as well. We also could talk about neemias, who had an impactful game for the Boston Celtics, posting a double-double. And even though he looked a little bit weak on the defensive side of the ball, he was getting rebounds, was being a high-flying player for the Boston Celtics, and kind of resembled a little bit of a Robert Williams-esque player. He'll get a little bit of shine tonight, and hopefully he can still do his same things. But let's dive into the main news at hand, which is talking about why the Boston Celtics lost that game, and we'll be looking at a breakdown of the Celtics' shots from last night. Now, the Boston Celtics came out versus the Golden State Warriors and absolutely dominated in the first quarter, attacking the rim and playing with a lot of intensity and high energy that Jaylen Brown had preached about that he wanted to do in the article that I broke down yesterday's video from Jay King. In that article, Jaylen Brown said he really liked how the Indiana Pacers play with a lot of pace, a lot of intensity, and he wanted to bring that into some of those Boston's offense, and we clearly saw that in last night's game. But also we want to talk about some other things. Joe Mazzulla had mentioned that multiple times there were 15 possessions he wished he could have changed last night, but they missed 20 paint shots and 41 threes, a franchise record. So he was satisfied with their process overall. And Jaylen Brown also had to say something about those threes. Jaylen Brown said he thought the Celtics settled for those threes, according to Gary Washburn, and we could have gotten layups and settled for threes. We had open looks, but sometimes when you have numbers, you penetrate and go to the basket. Ultimately, the Boston Celtics did do that in the first quarter, but in quarters 2, 4, and in the overtime, they just did not attack the rim. They slowed the game down. They went back to their style of three-point ball, trying to outshoot the Golden State Warriors, which is absolutely crazy to think, as the Golden State Warriors are one of the best three-point shooting teams of all time. Guys like Klay Thompson had fabulous shooting last night. Steph Curry didn't turn up till late in the game, but in that fourth quarter, he was marvelous for the Golden State Warriors. And the Boston Celtics just could not contain them. They tried doing their best, running right at him, trying to stop him, doing everything they could on defense. It just was not working. Steph Curry had that fourth quarter magic. Well, let's look at these shot charts and break it down for how you can see it. If you guys see, the green means the Celtics made it, and the white means they missed it. We're only going to be looking at the Boston Celtics shots, but if you want to look how many shots they took in the paint in the first quarter compared to the three-point range. As you can see, the three-point range is only around, 10 shots, but if you want to count in that paint, there are so many points at the basket. The Celtics were attacking that with ease, and if we look at the second quarter, big difference. The Boston Celtics have so many missed opportunities here. The Celtics made 3 threes the whole quarter compared to the 5 shots that they took inside, and they still continued to jack those threes up. You can see that whole corner, that whole area right there is just missed threes, that one cold streak, and then continued to fire from that area. That is not what we want to see out of this offense. We don't want to see isolation ball. We don't want to see trying to shoot the Warriors out. We don't want to see them go into that three. And I know Jayson Tatum was hurt. So Jayson Tatum, I'm going to give him a little bit of an excuse here. He is not going to be attacking the rim like I mentioned. He's going to be taking those threes. But late in-game scenarios when Jayson Tatum is missing those threes over and over again, why aren't we attacking the rim and playing this type of style of offense that actually helped us win the game with attacking with Jaylen Brown? We want to look at this third quarter again. It was a little bit of a mix of both, but the Celtics continued to attack the rim more than they did in the second quarter, and it benefited for the Celtics, only missing 3 shots in the arc compared to on the outside of the arc, missing at least 7. They shot 10 threes that quarter and missed 7 of them. And then they decide in the fourth quarter, what are we going to do? Keep firing those threes. If we want to look at the shot chart again, the Celtics made 1 shot in the paint in the entire fourth quarter compared to their three-point range. And they're firing from all cylinders on that three-point range. 1 shot from each corner, but around the arc, they are firing from every which place, which is just not what the Celtics needed to do. They needed to go back to their first quarter offense like I had just shown, where they attacked the rim and scored with ease. And even with their third quarter offense, they did the same thing. We want to look at the overtime shots. The Boston Celtics did not perform in overtime. They only scored a total of 5 points in overtime and did not score until 3 minutes in. The Golden State Warriors were making shots, and even though it was a bunch of misses in the beginning, the Warriors had a little bit of a rally in overtime. The Celtics, as you can see, only made 2 shots in overtime, 1 in the paint, 1 on the three-point line, and unfortunately for the Boston Celtics, it was a bunch of missed opportunities. We even saw late in the fourth quarter where they had 4 opportunities to hit a 3 off of offensive rebounds and 2 layups that they smoked. And late in the game, it was just tough for them to handle the ball down low. Al Horford had a little bit of mishandles down low with getting the ball and getting some layups. The Celtics lost this game on the fundamentals and not buying back into what they should have done, which was attacking the rim like they were at the beginning of the game. Hopefully, the Boston Celtics can rebound from this devastating loss to the Golden State Warriors in another tough matchup versus an even more talented team in the Western Conference and the Sacramento Kings, who likes to keep that pace up, who loves to play a fast, high-energy offense. So the Boston Celtics defense is going to have to be locked in for this game, as they weren't locked in last night, as it was an absolute shooting fest, 132 to 126. Thank you guys so much for tuning to this episode of Celtics Digest. If you guys are at this point in the video and you guys still aren't subscribed, what are you guys doing? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, join the Celtics Digest family. Would greatly appreciate it, and we guys know you guys enjoy the content. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. We'll have another post-game breakdown tomorrow morning, breaking down the Sacramento Kings versus Boston Celtics game. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.